Over the last 2 years, I've shot a ton of vertical video. Short cinematic edits, vertical hiking videos, short vertical documentaries, even a bit of vertical film. I know that's about as sinful as it gets in the film world. The way art is created often follows the way that it's displayed, at least to a degree. And considering that so many people are now watching videos on their phones, for better or for worse, vertical video is probably here to stay. There are a lot of strong opinions about vertical video, and if you hate it, then just stick to horizontal. Just don't do it. But if you do want to start shooting vertical videos or improve your vertical shooting, this video is for you. I want to share a few of the techniques and approaches that have helped me to improve mine over these last 2 years. The first is a very simple one, but it's a very important one, and it's to actually shoot vertically. I know it's tempting to just take your horizontal footage and crop it to a vertical frame, but there are several problems that can arise. You're losing a significant amount of resolution and detail by cropping out about 2/3 of the image, and you're also just losing a lot of what's in the frame, so you might not be able to fit everything in the shot, and even if you do, you might have to move over to the edges and get some weird distortion. Not to mention, this footage wasn't shot with the intention of being displayed vertically, so the composition probably isn't as strong as it could be. Instead, just rotate the camera and actually shoot vertically. I know that can be tedious, like a lot of the time I end up getting both vertical and horizontal versions of many of my shots when I'm out shooting, but I promise it's worth it. Also, consider vertical shooting when you're purchasing gear. Most drones at the moment don't shoot vertical, only a few on the market have the option to do so, and if a lot of your work going forward is going to be vertical, it's probably worth considering getting one of those the next time you buy a drone. Some gimbals have a vertical mode, others don't. Some tripod heads can be easily rotated to shoot vertically and others can't, and even some lenses are much more practical and effective for shooting vertically than others. We'll get a little more into that later on. A lot of what makes it difficult to shoot vertically is that our existing composition knowledge doesn't necessarily work. You have to retrain your eye to find and compose good shots. We largely see the world in horizontal frames, but you have to learn how to look for vertical compositions. For horizontal shooting, it's common practice to frame 2 subjects on either side of the shot, whereas for vertical, it's often best to rotate that rule and place one subject above the other. If you frame 2 subjects side by side like you would in a horizontal frame, it's very easy for that shot to become very cramped. Here's an example of a clip that looks good horizontally, but just doesn't work in a vertical frame because those 2 subjects are right next to each other. Vertical video is great for showing vertical scale, like many of my shots show tall trees or mountains towering behind a subject, or a beautiful sky overhead. Waterfalls look amazing in vertical compositions, as do like long roads stretching out into the distance. Mountains look great vertically, but mountain ranges don't. It's really just a matter of trying out different subjects and scenes and figuring out what looks good and what doesn't. It's exactly the same for horizontal shooting, like some scenes and subjects are just easier to compose horizontally than others, but the difference is we're used to that. Like all of our filmmaking knowledge is based on composing horizontal scenes. Vertical, we're just not used to it. When I'm shooting vertically, I almost always stick to wide lenses, like my Sigma 14 1.8, Sigma 20 1.4, or the Sigma 16 to 28 f2.8. In my experience, it's just easier to get good vertical footage when shooting wide. And my not so expert theory for why that is just that since we see the world very horizontally, by shooting wide, you can still have your horizontal frame, just with some extra space at the top and bottom. Usually I'll fill the bottom of the frame with some foreground to add depth, and the top of the frame with a nice sky or background. Of course, it's ideal to just seek out compositions that work vertically without extra space at the top and bottom of the frame, but this is a nice little hack while we're working towards that. Of course, when you're using a wide-angle lens, you have to watch out for distortion around the edges of the frame. And for vertical video, that distortion becomes a lot more noticeable. Usually when you frame a medium shot like this one horizontally, it's normal to place the top of the person's head like pretty close to the top of the frame. Shooting vertically, yeah, don't do that. Any focal length wider than like 24 millimeters and you'll have crazy noticeable distortion on your subject's face. And the same goes for the bottom of the frame. You'll have 10-foot legs if you're not careful with your composition. And finally, remember that vertical video is just that, vertical. I know it's easy to associate it with TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and short-form content, certain types of music and subject matter. But at the end of the day, it's just a different aspect ratio. You can share whatever you want, just in a slightly different format. And for me, that's been a really exciting opportunity to showcase what I do best in a different medium and reach a different audience. I hope it can provide a similar opportunity for you. That's all I have for you today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, learned something new from it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to Adorama TV for thousands of other videos just like this one, including the rest of this filmmaking series I've done on this channel, where we usually don't talk about shooting vertically. The rest of the videos are horizontal. So subscribe to see the rest of this series, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.